Hello, friends, and welcome to Snap Take. This is Glazer of Snap Judgments, the official podcast of Marvel Snap Zone. Today, we have the best Day 1 Valentina deck. One of the best players in the world has said this is the best deck. We'll talk about that later. We also have a deck that members of our Discord are using to amazing effect that does not have Valentina. But you all requested that I cover data mines, and this is the first video since the patch, so we are going to talk data mines. We've got a jam-packed video. We've also got custom cards for you, so much more. Let's get started, but first, let's tell you about the Snap Judgments League real fast. It's kicking off Monday, which means you have until Sunday to sign up. $1 for $700 worth of prizes you could potentially win. The $1 is largely so we don't just get completely killed in running this tournament. This is a league where you're required to play one game a week with an opponent. You schedule it yourself on your own time so that you should be able to make time for this to work for you. I hope you check out the league and enjoy it. If you're interested, you can use either the QR code or check the link to the Snap Judgments League Discord in the description to this video. We also gave away a couple of season passes in Monday's video. The winners are Timon Y4 and HXGX. Please shoot me a message over on the email on the screen. We'll get you set up with either Baron Zemo or Blink in a few days. The big giveaway, the new giveaway for the new season, in which we give away 15 season passes like we always do, will kick off tomorrow. It would be today, but this video is so jam-packed because of the data mines, I didn't want to overdo it. All right, quickly, the patch and my thoughts on them. First, custom cards. You can apply any split combination to any variant for that card now. That is great. They sort of accidentally announced it last patch, and they told us this was coming for quite a while. It's actually here. It's really nice. I spent a solid hour screwing around and getting a few cards right. I now have the Hellfire Gala kitty, for example, with a gold background, whereas I didn't before, and that kind of thing makes me happy. Is it amazing? It's very cool and very nice, and I'm happy it exists. Is that fair? I'm not, I like the variants in the game. I care about the variants in the game. I like the cosmetics, but I'm not a perfect split hunter. So this is nice for me. This is a nice bonus, but it's not amazing. I know a lot of people are going completely crazy about that, and more power to them. I'm happy they're happy. There are also now collectible borders, which are like 700 to 900 gold, which is a lot. You can buy basically an extra colored border for one card, including all its variants. I'm not going to lie, they give you these more or less for free. Otherwise, we know that we're getting other ways to earn these in the future and other different borders in the future that might change my mind. But this feels like a nothing burger to me. I know some people are spending a lot of money on it, so I guess that's why they do it, and more power to the people who this brings joy. But this is like the 17th new thing they've added for me to spend money on without giving me more things to do in the game. And what really frustrates me, and I'm going to be blunt, and I'm going to try and be quick about this because I was on Snap Decisions, Joe's podcast, a little while earlier, and I definitely went on a giant rant about it. If you want a giant rant, I'm sure I'll go into more detail about this on the actual Snap Judgments podcast releasing this Saturday. But they didn't change any cards. They didn't update any cards. And to me, in the absence of giving us new things to do in the game, like new game modes, new challenges, new something, card changes along with new cards are what make the game worth playing. They're what make the game fresh and not just the same as always. I think we have a right to have expected there be card changes because there have been card changes in every single patch since the game launched, or at least since the game launched publicly. Now, I think that this is extraordinarily disappointing. The community seems fine with it. New spokesperson for the company, PR person Griffin, released a statement in advance of the patch coming out, letting people know that this was the case. This is the second patch in a month. The world isn't ending and the sky isn't falling, but for me personally, this is an extraordinarily frustrating situation. I greatly think that if you are going to just release no new game modes and more things to spend money on, you also need to do things for players like change some cards. And if you're not going to change cards, then do series drops. But this would have been the perfect time to change Captain America or Kang, right? You know you're not doing anything else. You take one big card that everyone's been asking for, and then all of a sudden people are happy. Or at least I'd be happy. Instead, they released a tiny nothing burger of a patch, at least for me. And again, I am deeply disappointed in Second Dinner. I'm not telling you to be. You feel how you want to feel about it. This exact type of decision frustrates me. I don't want more ways to spend money. There's plenty of ways for this game to waste my money, and I support it financially a lot. I would greatly like more things to do as I play the game. And if those modes aren't ready, then change some damn cards so I have more things to do while I'm playing. That's my take on this. Please let me know what you think in the comments to the video. All right, we have the key art for the season coming next month. That is the Gilgamesh season. We're not going to talk about that right now. That's the Eternal season. We're instead going to focus on the Deadpool and Wolverine July season. That's when that movie comes out, so that's when we're getting that season. We're going to talk about the new cards. Cool. Our first new card is the Season Pass card. This is Gwenpool. Gwenpool is a 4/4. On reveal, pick a random card in your hand 4 times. So you pick, I believe, a different card all 4 times. You give it +2. You give each of those +2 power. So if you pick, I don't know, let's say you pick Swarm. That Swarm will get +2 power. Then you pick Apocalypse. That Apocalypse will get +2 power. Then you pick Swarm again. It'll get another +2. Then it picks, I don't know, some card you would just want to discard, right? Like some junk card that you didn't have time to play. That's also going to get +2. So this is potentially a oh, that's a like a 4/12, right? So it's a 4/6, 4/8, yeah, it's a 4/12, which is great stats, but you still have to play play all these other cards in your deck. It's a season pass card. I think it's really cool. I think it has some cool stuff it can do. It's potentially hard to use. The question I'm going to ask, I know it's number 4 on this list, is could this card and releasing a 4/12 be why they changed Zabu? They want to see what a really powerful 4 does in a world where Zabu doesn't work the way he used to as an ongoing ability. I think that's extremely likely given what we know about how they changed Yondu for Baron Zemo. I don't like it, but I think it's still true. So what does Gwenpool work well with? I think she works really well if Black Panther's in your hand. Even 2 extra power on Black Panther changes the math here, right? You make Black Panther a 6, he's now up to a 5/12, and all of a sudden that's amazing. Iron Man loves this kind of effect. Anything that puts power in your hand makes Iron Man happy. I think there might be a buff deck that runs cards like Sebastian Shaw and Gilgamesh as the payoffs. Gilgamesh gets +2 power for each card in play as an on reveal that has gained permanent power, so Gilgamesh could be huge. That is the previous month season pass, and you should know what Sebastian Shaw does, right, friends? 3/4 gets an extra +2 whenever it gets +2, so if Gwenpool hits it once, it's a +4, although now you're playing off curve. Swarm would be really great with this. If you hit Swarm once, now that's even better, obviously. This would work reasonably with Dracula. I don't think Discard could afford to play it, but maybe an alternate discard list. And I think I might make this my top end in some bounce lists, sort of like where Werewolf was, because like this hitting a Hitmonkey, this hitting a Mysterio, this hitting an Iron Man. These are really, really good cards. Hell, like hitting a Nico and then it gets the +2. Does this look good? Yeah, this looks good. This is a good season pass card. It's very hard for me to imagine this not being a playable and solid card. 4/12 is a lot of stats. We know that 4/14 is a lot of stats, right? So I bet you 4/12 is still really good. It's very unlikely that it usually gets to 4/12 without specific builds for it. But anytime it gets to like 4/8, 4/10, and like that power is spread out, and then if you build for the right synergies, I think this is going to be a good card. Oh, Brood would like this. Anything that makes clones that have its power, Sinister, so on. Yeah, it's a good card. This is a good card. All right, next up we have the card that comes out with Gwenpool. It's Hydra Bob. Hydra Bob is a 2/5, and Hydra Bob is phenomenal. It's worth knowing that Hydra Bob comes with Galactus and Nebula, so if you want the big bad Galactus or still need Nebula, this is your chance to get them. Either way, though, I think you're probably going to want Bob. Bob is after each turn, move to another location if you're losing here. Assuming, and this is a big assumption, that after each turn includes after the last turn of the game. He's not going to move to automatically win you the game, but if you're losing that location, his power is useless. So him just moving at that point is amazing. Does he work with Captain Marvel and Martyr? I think actually probably not, depending on when you play him. But he should be good with cards like Craven and other move payoffs, right? Like Miles Morales and so on. Ceradex, love him. You get that extra play, and then like if he goes in the wrong place, he just moves to the right place. He's just going to be very powerful. Like that, so one of the way you kill cards in Marvel Snap Kill, outside of like Shang-Chi, is Any power or most power played for single lane cards in a lane that's lost is wasted power. Doesn't matter if you're losing that lane by 1 or by 50. As long as you lose that lane, you're losing that lane, right? Bob says, well, that power, my 5 power won't be killed in that circumstance, which is incredible. I'm assuming he can move to another lane he's still losing, but even so, like assuming you're smart and play well and leave one lane like relatively full and one, he should be incredibly powerful at winning close games. I think this is going to be one of the best cards in the game, period. All right, next up we have Ajax. Ajax comes with Darkhawk and Beta Ray Bill, so if you want to play some Thor's decks, this is your chance. Thor's is a real meta thing. No, is it like the best? No. Darkhawk is a real meta thing. Is it like I spelled it Darkhawk? Is it the very best? No, but it's still really good. Ajax is again another 4 for the Zabu thing. 4/4 ongoing +1 power for each card in play with negative afflicted with negative power. Okay. So that's potentially like a 4/12 again, right? It's fairly easy to like just play Hazmat and this on the last turn of the game. Hazmat hits a whole board of things, Ajax comes out and is huge, and then you win. I mean, it's an ongoing though, so there's a problem, right? We know what that problem is. It's a 3/4, and it's in the thumbnail to this video. Luke Cage fundamentally says, this card is just a dead 4/4. The second this card comes out, Luke Cage goes in more decks. Luke Cage is already showing up again. I don't know if you've noticed, but he's in a lot of Valentina decks. People will forget about Luke Cage eventually, and when they do, this card will be at least good, but that could be a little while. I think this might just be harder / worse to play in Affliction decks than Typhoid Mary, but I'm leaving room to be wrong that it gets enough bigger that it's still worth it. High Evolutionary decks I don't think can fit this, but it fits there. I think this really wants to work with Hazmat. We'll talk about how it works with Cassandra Nova because I have questions. And I think like one of the best things it can do is Man-Thing / US Agent decks. Those decks we've been seeing lately. If you want, check 2 days ago's video where we covered the Snap Grand Prix, and we had a top 4 deck that was basically a Man-Thing US Agent deck. I think that Ajax will be really solid in that type of list, but he's likely a skip if you have Darkhawk and Bill. Copycat is coming with Cull and Thanos. Thanos is dead-ish, and Cull might have a home. Cull is a weird card because like Crossbones is the same card more or less, except it's Series 3. Copycat is 3/5. When you draw this, steal the text from the bottom card of your opponent's deck, and mill decks absolutely love this. If you mill a couple cards, right, and you're not going to get their whole deck, and you just take the text from their last card, even if you end up milling it later, or you just have that text on this card, you're happy. Surfer Zemo adores this card. I think this pushes Surfer Zemo into like tier 1. I think that this is going to be, again, a stellar card. This and Hydra Bob are my cards of the month, like by a lot. I think Gwenpool is very good. I think these other 2 cards are like phenomenal cards, A cards. Copycat, again, we've seen how powerful Mill can be. If I can get rid of most of your cards and then steal the ability of one and make it mostly useless, I am for it. Copycat's going to be very good. Also, this should be Rogue. All right, Cassandra Nova is a card that's really, really, really hard to evaluate. It comes with Hope and Proxima, so if you want discard, you need Proxima and Hope. This is your chance to get Hope. If you didn't buy that season pass that I begged you to buy because Hope is like a must-have card, she's 3/1. Drain 1 power from each card in your opponent's deck. So we don't know what the hell Drain does. I'm assuming Drain means afflict and then give power to Cassandra Nova, which means if you play her on curve, she's a 3/7, which is perfectly fine. And if you play her off curve, she's a 3/6. That's probably not worth it. But then if they play those negative cards, she sort of has that extra power, which is good. She's an on reveal, so once you get her down, she's done the thing, so she's harder for Luke to counter, which is nice, but Luke early or Luke on 3 with priority is still going to beat the crap out of her. Actually, is it? No, they're in the deck. I don't know how that works. No, that'll still work against Luke. Excuse me, I'm completely wrong. It'll work against Luke. I take it back because Scorpion hits your hand. If Luke is in play, your hand still has the negative power until you play the damn card. All right, Evo has Man-Thing. So as agent like Ajax, you can just give -2 or 3 to all the cards, so you should win. The question is Drain different than Afflict? Because Ajax says Afflicted with negative power, and this says Drain 1 power. If those do the same thing, then then that's a nice little combo. If those don't do the same thing, then I don't know where this fits. We know that Surfer Hazmat is a deck though, because well, we've played it, right? It's Gregor's Toxic Surfer. This is probably decent in there. And this could also be decent with Ravona. Honestly, I think most of the time this feels kind of like Wolfsbane-ish and not really worth it. Um, it feels okay. I hope I'm wrong, but I don't think I am for this one. This feels like it's an okay card. It's going to give you some decent stats, but nothing incredible. You can you can't, if you drop it on Wong, they just have fewer cards in deck, right? I don't know. And we're assuming it gives +1 power. Who the hell knows what happens with that 1 power? I don't know. I don't know how I feel about this. I don't like it very much. It's basically where we are. All right, that is the cards for whatchamacallit for July. That's every card for July and my feelings on them. Let's talk about the one card changed for May. Nothing was changed for June. One card was changed for May. Sage went from a 4/1 to a 3/0. The ability has stayed the same. She gets +2 power for each different power among all other cards here, which means, well, this is the wrong words here. Pretend I haven't done 18 pieces of content today. You'll live. I'll explain her uses in a minute because they're real obvious. Sage is going to be able to be a 3/6 on your side of the board, but assuming your opponent has any different power on the other side of the board, she's a 3/8, then a 3/10, then a 3/12. 3/12 is a lot of stats, but that's going to, or three, I guess she can get up to 3/14, but that's going to be reasonably rare. What you should be noticing is that when lanes are this full, it's late in the game, right? So she's a card that wants to be played late, which means that you're playing her ideally late with Surfer. You can play her on a Wong with the Surfer, potentially for a lot of power, which is reasonable, except a lot of Surfer cards have similar power, right? So, like, you can't play her in a Brood lane to any great success. So she's a little awkward in those. But we know that negative Surfer has traditionally been a deck. I believe it was Cozy's. I could be wrong. But their Cozy had a negative Surfer that was meta for a little while. It was a negative Wong Surfer. But you can see that come back with Sage, because this card really likes Ravona Renslayer. And it really likes Jane Foster when it's negative. So it has those extra uses. I think this is better than it was. I still think it's probably a little too clunky to see play. It's either completely this is one of the cards that I think is really hard to evaluate, where it's doing something so different from everything in the game right now that it's either really clunky and kind of bad, or completely kind of busted and going to be like a 3/12 all the time. We'll see which it is. My guess is clunky as of right now. That's why they changed the stats, right? Because as a 4/1, it wasn't doing shit. So they changed the stats to make it good and attractive. I'm not sold. All right. If you're curious about the cosmetics, if you don't know that the data mines come, they do with a ton of new cosmetics, being things like albums, bundles, and variants. Well, the $5 Patreons, I did a review of everything data mined if you're interested in checking it out. It is on patreon.com/snapjudgments, where you can find a, 15, 20-minute video of me breaking down all the cosmetics, what I like, what I don't, what's here, who a lot of the artists are for my favorites, for all the different variants, talking about whether I think the upcoming bundles are good and all that stuff. If you're interested, check it out. Also, we're going to cover the May cards early next week in detail. The June cards were previewed on the podcast, Snapjudgments Podcast, episode 45, and none of them have changed. So that is now, as of right now, still active content that makes perfect sense. Further, on Marvel Snap Zone, I'm going to write a quick guide to all of the June and July cards coming soon. And next week for the May cards, I'll have 50 Marvel Snap content creators that you know and love, ranking all of the May cards. So we got all that stuff to look forward to. Let's get to our first deck, which is Shuri Enjoyer's Loki Average. It's Shuri Enjoyer's name. I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be Loki Average. He's a Brazilian player, so Portuguese is his native tongue. This is a Loki deck. This is a Valentina deck, and this is a Luke Cage deck. This deck also doesn't seem to be doing anything terribly different, but in the very few games I've played, it does feel very different. Valentina makes your non-Loki games feel very different. Valentina can also make your Loki games feel very different, but tends to do so more often when you have Quinjet out. But Quinjet, Valentina, that card, Loki, is an extraordinarily powerful playline when you get the right card from Valentina. Valentina has been quite good. If you are a Loki player, I think Valentina is a card to get as of right now. But tomorrow's video, I'm going to ask 5 top 100 players what their first impressions of Valentina are. I know Sizer is ranked number 5 right now and is not as high on Valentina as Shuri and Troy. So I will get those takes for you in tomorrow's video, and then Friday I'll give you my first recommendation, Monday my final recommendation. Cool. I want you to be informed. We like informed decisions here. All right, so this you can find Shuri Enjoyer at twitter.com/Shuri Enjoyer. Shuri Enjoyer used to grind a lot and be near the top of the Infinite leaderboard. Now he's just chills in the top 100 as one of the best and most respected players in the entire game of Marvel Snap. For this deck, Jeff can be Sentinel or Mirage. Kitty is needed, and you need either Hope or Elsa. You can try Rogue, Mobius, or Cosmo for one of them, but do not play this deck without at least one of them. Cable can replace Valentina, although now it's a different deck. Please check Monday's video if you want like 6 different non-Valentina Cable builds that were successful in the Snap Grand Prix tournament. Snowguard can be Maria Hill like always. It is a major loss to not have Snowguard, and obviously in the Loki deck you need Loki. Alright, so Shuri Enjoyer says this is the best deck in the game. Thinks this is a Loki meta right now, and this is the best Loki deck to play when one of the top players in the game, when one of the most respected players in the game makes that definitive statement. We cover the deck. We bring it to you right away. So turn 1 for this deck, you want Quinjet versus Snowguard. What you have in hand sort of determines which of those you prioritize. If you know that you might be playing, for example, Olsen on turn 3, then all of a sudden Quinjet is way better than Snowguard. If you don't have any other card generation, all of a sudden Snowguard is better than Quinjet. Make sense? If you know you're going to Loki, then Snowguard is better often early, but not always, because sometimes, like, if you have other card generation, you can use Quinjet and then use other card generation to get into Loki. It's debatable. You play either of those over Kitty. Turn 2 is either Angela or Valentina. If you played Snowguard, you tend to want to go Angela. If you played Quinjet, you tend to want to go Valentina. And then Luke changes that math a little bit, too. You're more likely to go Valentina if you have Luke. Those are both generally better than Jeff early. Turn 3 is Hope or Elsa, and that is a really hard decision. Are you doing the, like, sort of bounce, I'm trying to gain a lot of power things? I can see it being Elsa. If you're going to Loki, though, I think that Hope is fairly often better. Although, when you're going to, because that lets you get extra cards out with the cheaper energy. Although, if you're going to Loki, right, then you have their cards at -1 cost, and then you have a few of them at -1 cost and +2 power thanks to Elsa. So it is not an easy decision. That's going to depend on the matchups. Are you going to win by going wide? I think Elsa is more important. Are you going to win by trying to play a lot of their taller stuff? Then Hope is better. Cool. Then you go with Luke as basically a Valentina thing, or if the location tells you you should. I really, straight up, and we're going to look right here, think that I would want, I'm going to say Coulson, but Coulson's in the deck. Mobius in this deck, I don't know how to fit it. I don't think you can cut Luke. Luke is really good with Valentina if you haven't played it yet. So turn 4, you just usually want a Loki. You can also Valentina card. If you have Quinjet, you can sometimes Valentina card on turn 3. Or you can go 3+1. If you went Hope, dropping an Elsa Kitty on there is just incredibly strong, for example. Turn 5 is still Loki, or you can go 3 and 2, and at any point generated cards could change. And then turn 6, if you've still got your own hand, generally speaking, Shang-Chi and some stuff. Hopefully you've gotten Hope out. Hope is really great when you don't get the Loki thing going. And then you can go Shang and a 3-drop, which is very powerful. Especially if it's Luke and you played like a 4/8 Scar, for example. This is the deck. Like the deck. You should play this deck if you have access to these cards. This is a tier 1 stellar Marvel Snap deck worth playing for the majority of the community, if they can get it. If Shuri Enjoyer says this is top notch, the stats early say this is top notch, this is worth playing. Go play it. Welcome back to the Loki meta. I told you on Sunday, Loki was the best deck. Then 7 of the top 16 on the next day reached the Snap Grand Prix cut, and then 2 of the top 4 were in the Snap Grand Prix cut were Loki decks, and now we have this from Shuri Enjoyer. Loki is back. Alright, please hit that sub, like, and comment. We bring you 7 days of video, all the Marvel Snap content you can possibly handle, turn-by-turn guides. We do our very best to get you to Infinite, to get you to High Infinite, to make you the best Marvel Snap player you can possibly be. Hit that sub button if you are already subscribed. thank you, first and foremost. Please hit that like, leave a comment. It helps us grow. Watch as much of the video as you can. The longer you watch, the more people this video is showed to, and it helps us grow. And we really, really, really appreciate that. All right. David Morissette would like me to feature more underdog counter decks. That's hard because everyone's meta is different. When the meta gets really, really settled and solid, like when Hela was everywhere, I featured some Hela counter decks. When Thanos was everywhere, I did my best to feature Thanos counter decks. There weren't as many. The meta is really varied right now, so there's not a single thing I can do to show you as a counter deck. However, if you are seeing a lot of a deck in your meta and would like a counter deck, please do shoot me a message. For example, someone asked me earlier today, and I don't remember who, please excuse me, how do you counter Loki? Loki's about to be everywhere. The answer is you go to either Hela or you play Apocalypse Discard. Both of those decks traditionally beat Loki, as do Cerebro 2 and 3 also. So you pick one of these decks, and those are your path towards Loki victories. Cool. Go Gadget Ninja asks how I determine bundle value, and straight up, I'm an English teacher. I do not. I do two things. I check Careless's numbers on Marvel Snap Zone, and then I message my friend Savage Eddie. If you want bundle details with math, check out Savage Eddie YouTube, Savage Eddie YT, Savage Eddie Gaming. He is the best at giving you bundle guides and analysis. He's also just one of the best people I know, one of my friends. You've seen him on the channel doing commentary with me. He edits all those videos for me. He's just a wonderful person, but he's also really good at math, and he's where I get my bundle value from. I am reporting other people's information, hopefully with credit, hopefully with love, but I'm just trying to bring you what the best advice for. I want to be able to be your one-stop shop if you have to be, but I also want to push you to my best and favorite content creators. More on that coming early next week, by the way. Ro Miller wants to know how to stay excited when everyone's playing the same thing. You play different things. You play different things differently. Part of why I make these videos, right? Part of why I make these videos is I like to play different things. When the game gets samey, I get very bored. When the meta is all Hela, I'm very bored. When the meta is all Thanos, I get bored, right? But I don't think that's the meta right now. There's like 7 or 8 different things, and like different enough to be interesting. And which means that if you can play enough different things, that there's fun to be had. That's honest to God, my best answer for you. Play different things. That's what these videos are for. They're telling you don't just play the same thing over and over. And hey, if you're trying to get to infinite, that's not the advice for you. This is for people who are infinite and trying to find fun in the game. If you're trying to get to infinite, grind the good stuff. So I'm going to tell you straight up. I played a bunch of weird shit for a couple weeks and then played Conquest. So I usually chill around rank 10,000. Right? Just hang out there, don't really care, mess around. I don't have a ton of free time, so I don't really grind. I do my dailies and then I play an extra 20 minutes, half hour a day-ish. So, okay. I played some Jank and then I did a bunch of Conquest. I have an unbelievable amount of silver and gold tickets this season that are definitely going to go to waste because I don't have any free time. But I fell to rank like 19,000. I spent about 2 days with most of my games being Loki and the .geo bounce deck. Again, Monday's video. And I'm ranked 6,000, or I'm in the 6,000s. Like, playing good decks well is the easiest way to climb if you want to have fun more than you want to have a really nice number next to your name. And the number doesn't do anything. I don't care about the number. I don't think the number means all that much until you're in the top 100. Genuinely. Not the top, like, 500. I think that's cool, but I think like the top 100 is really, really competitive. My wife is sneezing. I don't want to yell bless you because the kid is asleep. But I think that you just need to play different things unless you are trying desperately to climb, and then you're stuck playing the best things. Figure out what you're the best at, play that well. Paper C wants to see the infinite leaderboard. Well, then here's an easy way. You go to marvelsnap.com/infinite leaderboard, one word, and there it is. I realized my answer when Paper C asked was I Google it every time, and I realized that when I just typed inf, it was like what automatically popped up, and then I just looked at what it was. You can see the infinite leaderboard. It shows you the top 1,000 in every region and globally. I spend a decent amount of time making sure I'm up to date on what the top players are playing. If you'd like your question read out in tomorrow's video, please leave one in the comments. All right, our final deck is Darth Taters. Ravona wins. This went 18-2 in its first 20 games, so I gave it a try. And this shit is phenomenal. This is a real deck. Like, it's a very, very, very strong deck. I don't know how to put that any more clearly, but this is a deck that if you have access to and can play, and I'm aware that there are, of relevance, 2 Series 5 cards here, 2, and 1 Series 4 card. Cool. Cannonball, Mockingbird, and Ravona are like 1,000% necessary for the deck. But if you have those cards, this deck is like holy shit good. This is a very, very strong deck. Please try it and let me know how it goes in the comments. I think you're going to be impressed if you can access this. All right, so Darth Tater finished second place in the Snap Judgments League. This is a really, really strong player who came with a really cool deck. So Nebula can be Iceman, Spider-Hammer, Nightcrawler. I think I actually like Nightcrawler best if you have Cull, Obsidian. If you don't have Cull Obsidian, I don't think it matters nearly as much which you pick. You might even be able to go something like Martyr. I know that's crazy, but you might. All right, Ravona is the deck. Do not play this without Ravona. Ravona is literally like, Ravona says, I can play Iron Man and Mystique to end the game. Ravona says Professor X on turn 4 or Professor X with like a Nebula or something else on turn 5. Ravona says Patriot and Mystique on turn 4, right? Ravona is incredible for this list. You can try Eliath for Cannonball. I know that's replacing the Series 5 with another Series 5. You can also run Shang. Shang is, you will often have priority. Shang is a lot worse than Cannonball here. Mockingbird is 100% required. And Crossbones can replace Cull. So can like a decent 4-8. If you really wanted to try like a Drax there, you might be okay if you're good at predicting opponents. Like I could see, oh my gosh. So you might want to play it at the end of the game, so I don't love it. But like there's worse cards for this deck than just Rescue, right? Like basically what you're doing with Cull Obsidian is you're slamming, if they don't have Professor X, you're slamming an Iron Man on top, or you're slamming a Professor X on top. So like anything you can do that with, Crossbones is fine for that too. The idea here is that you have priority and they're going to want to Shang your Cull, and then you're dropping that Professor X and you're sort of ruining their life. And then you win. Okay, so this is not only 18-2, it's plus 40 cubes, which is a stupid cube rate. So turn 1, Nebula over Squirrel Girl. Nebula is phenomenal because Nebula is really, really good for Professor X. Either if they're ignoring Nebula, an easy Professor X 1 lane, or if they're focusing on Nebula, an easy way to win another lane. Turn 2, Ravona is the priority. If not, Mysterio's perfectly fine. Mysterio means that they don't know where the math is. They're starting to expect things like Valkyrie that aren't in the deck. It's really solid. It's also, 2 for 4 is still good stats. And it's something that is pumped by Patriot while also making the Mockingbird cheaper. Turn 3, if you have Ravona and an extra 1 in Patriot is really, really good. So is 1 in Mysterio. Mockingbird is totally fine here as well. Turn 4, if you can drop Iron Man or Professor X, it's often right to do so to just get them out. Try and know what your opponent's playing, and if that deck traditionally runs ongoing counters, if you're going to drop Iron Man. But Professor X is really, really good if you've got that whole, let's say you went Nebula into Ravona into Patriot, right? Or into Mysterio. Now Professor X is just an excellent play. Because you can add more power to that lane, that Nebula is going to grow, so on. You can also drop Mystique on Patriot for 2, and then drop another 2. You can drop Iron Man, we spoke about, or you can drop Mockingbird or Cull to drop Professor X on it next turn. Turn 5, Professor X on Cull or Mockingbird. Iron Man makes perfect sense here, as do Patriot and Mystique as a dual play. You can also do that play on turn 4. They aren't 1,000 targets for them, but the targets for them are good. And turn 6 is Cannonball, or you do something from turn 5. And let's again note that that Patriot play is hitting, in particular, Wasp, Mysterio clones, not the real Mysterio, but Mysterio clones, and Squirrel Girl. Cool. It's not 1,000,000 targets, but when it goes off and when it adds power, it's excellent. This deck is, again, excellent. It puts out more power than it looks like. Fundamentally, I said early for Cannonball. Cannonball was going to be great with Professor X, but the other thing Cannonball can do is if you can get really big in a lane with a card like Iron Man, Cannonball can often solo another lane. Guess what? Still true. Cool. Basically, Cannonball sends their biggest thing. If it lands in one lane that you don't care about, you don't care. If it lands in that Iron Man lane has like 40 power, and it doesn't matter that they dropped a big thing in it. That's why they weren't competing there. And Cannonball has stolen you the game. It's a wonderful way to play Marvel Snap. This deck is super sweet, and again, I urge you to try it. We got one more thing before we go home. We got keyword JLA characters. I wanted key JLA characters. We do a custom card challenge every week. One person from the custom card challenge wins a season pass every month. Like there are 4 or 5 winners, 6 winners, I think, every month. They then I put them in a lottery. One of them gets a season pass. If you want to participate, please join Drewberry's Discord. It's linked in the description to this and every video I put out. In addition, snaptracker.me/custom is how you make custom cards. All right, so first card is winner is Voltron, I believe first time winning. It is Martian Manhunter. After each turn, transform into different on reveal in play and repeat its ability, keeping this card's power and cost. Martian Manhunter is a shapeshifter and mind reader, and this feels really, really right for him. I think this is just a good, fun card. I don't think Mr. Negative decks want this because you don't want a double negative, right? But I think Surfer decks absolutely love this. If this just randomly copies a Brood, you're pretty sad, I guess. But like, there's lots of other cards coming. For example, the card we saw, whatchamacallit, at the start of this video, Sage would be really good with this. Wolfsbane would be really good with this. Surfer itself would be really good with this. Martian Manhunter seems really good in those decks. If you're going with ongoing things where your only real ongoing is Doom, that's amazing, or Panther or whatever. However, this card would be, or sorry, White Tiger, not Panther. However, this card does have risk because it could hit the opposing cards, and it's yet another really good Ravona target. I think this is a very cool take on Martian Manhunter. Love the font, love everything about this. Next up, we have the Flash, which is DJ the Frostman, who I don't think has ever even participated, so congrats on the win, and the first time I've seen you participate in one of ours, DJ. We've got a 3/5 Flash. At the end of each turn, reduce the cost of a random card in your hand by 1. This is probably too strong and needs to be minimum 1, but I do love the idea of running this in quite a lot of decks. Surfer obviously loves this, getting this out on 3, but like there's so many cards Surfer wants to get out on 3, but it's helping make you enable other plays, assuming those are other plays you actually want, so on and so forth. Coulson Mobius is a card. Bounce loves this if it doesn't have the reduction, right? It hits a 1, makes it a 0, you're set. Ramp Big Stuff could absolutely use this, being able to be like, I've got 4 6s in hand, as long as it hits one of them, we're in heaven. And Sarah decks really like this. Sometimes you get Sarah, sometimes you get other stuff cheaper. This is a really, really cool take on the Flash. Now, my Flash is Wally West, and then we have a Wally West variant and a Jake Garrick variant. I'm gonna pretend Barry Allen doesn't exist because Barry Allen should have stayed dead after Crisis, and say that we just have 2 Wally Wests and 1 Jay. And these are amazing variants. I think that this is phenomenal work. Great job for both DJ and Voltron. Congrats. I'll put you in. This was the end of the April season, so you'll be in the entry for the May season pass. All right. Lastly, Mother's Day is coming up. So 5/6, we have Marvel Mothers as our next contest. The keyword is synergy. I want to see some mother synergy. You figure out what that means to you. But Marvel Mothers is our theme. Again, snaptracker.me/custom to make the cards, and Drewberry's Discord to post in the Glazers custom section to post what wins. All good? All good. Certain tiers of support on our Patreon, that is the $10 tier, come with on-air thanks. We've got thank you to Abigail Giesland, thank you Mandatory Burnout, Cables, David G. Wingfield, Direwolf, Gotta help you with that deck, Direwolf. LAB, always the kindest words. Father Newman, check him out on YouTube. Goog Dog Gamer, awesome deck builder. This is the Way, who I believe is Nick the Greek. Hopefully I'm right. If I'm not, please let me know. Ink, Jane Everett, first Infinite in this April season. Jaden Vitalino, check him out on Twitch. Herdix Lee, awesome person, great questions. Koi Ray, who built us something amazing. Pyrophoros, who does awesome miniatures. The Goat Seeker, hello, Goat Seeker. Denman Falcom, check him out on YouTube. Doku, who I don't know but wish to know better. Philip Ratkovich, Mod, excellent deck builder, top 1,000 player. Haplo, any logins of the Danger Zone need to know Haplo. Rob Silverman, who's been here since day 1. Juan Diego Lebed, who's much newer but also quite kind. The Bizza, not the Jizza. The Bizza. X-Force V and Skippy G, who rhyme. Tommy Nyquist, Snap Judgment's Season 1 champion. Our new friend Black Dahlia, new friend the Great Kazoo. Jessica Gamble, relatively new, been here quite a while at this point, thanks Jess. Ryan Wood and Kev Cihoda. Luna Chris, my former student, Louis Antunes. The Mod Supreme models. Our 2 newest members, I believe. Actually, I think this is just our 4 newest members in a row. I could be wrong. Ryan Kaufman, Tristan H. Martin, Fuzzy Dunlop, Spectrum X. We got who? Matt H. DJ Mikey Hijinks. No Flex, who might have just beaten Lambie? Question mark. Ocularis. Hi, Ocularis. Craig Sterry, thank you for the great comment yesterday. Pretty damn chill. Hey, Seamus. Check out Spike Jones on YouTube. Two Ties, Mod and Friend. The Pirate King Tucker. The Homie Min. Rito in Disguise on Twitch. And of course, Gunny T, where the T stands for, that was the longest thanks ever, wasn't it? Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I had a lot of fun making it. I'm taking my butt to sleep. See you in the morning for another snap. Take tomorrow. I should probably figure out how to cancel this. Bye.